The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. Thousands of leaders from every known star system filled the massive chamber. Some were covered in shining scales. Others had glowing eyes or metal skin. Every seat was taken. Every screen showed the same image: Earth. For 100 years, humanity had lived among the stars. They had traded with many worlds, fought beside their allies, and explored the unknown. Yet today, they stood alone. Every alien race waited for the final vote that would decide Earth's future. The High Chancellor slowly stood from his crystal throne. His deep voice echoed through the silent hall. The vote has ended. A blue light appeared above the chamber, showing the final result. Nearly every civilization had voted to remove Earth from the Galactic Union. Only 3 races had voted in humanity's favor. The decision was final. Earth was officially banished from every trade route, every military alliance, and every shared colony. Many alien leaders smiled with relief. They believed humanity had become too powerful and too unpredictable. The human ambassador stood in the center of the chamber without moving. His face showed no fear, no anger, no sadness. The silence grew heavier as thousands of alien eyes watched him. They expected him to beg for another chance. They expected him to argue or threaten the council. Instead, he looked around the room with calm eyes, as if he had already known this moment would come. Even the oldest alien leaders became uneasy. Something about his peaceful expression did not feel normal. The Chancellor cleared his throat and spoke again. Humanity has 1 hour to leave the station. After today, no human ship may enter Galactic Union space. The words sounded cold and final. Many representatives nodded with satisfaction. They believed Earth would soon become weak without the support of the galaxy. They imagined human cities falling into poverty, and human colonies asking for mercy. Some even whispered that humanity would return within weeks, ready to accept any condition just to survive. Then something happened that no one expected. The human ambassador smiled. It was not a small smile. It was calm, confident, and almost thankful. He bowed politely to the council. On behalf of Earth, he said in a clear voice, "Thank you for making this decision." A wave of confusion spread across the chamber. Alien leaders looked at each other, unable to understand his words. Why would anyone thank the people who had just destroyed their future? The strange smile made even the strongest commanders feel uncomfortable. Without another word, the ambassador turned around and walked toward the exit. His footsteps echoed through the silent hall. No guard stopped him. No human officer followed him. He simply left, as if losing the entire galaxy meant nothing at all. The giant doors slowly closed behind him. For several long seconds, no one spoke. Then quiet whispers filled the chamber. Some believed humanity had accepted defeat. Others feared something much worse. Deep inside, a few ancient races remembered old stories about humans. Stories they had hoped were only myths. Far away from the council station, hundreds of human ships quietly changed their course. Secret orders reached every fleet at the exact same moment. Hidden stations that had remained silent for decades suddenly came online. Deep inside Earth's command center, senior officers watched the council's decision without showing any emotion. One admiral looked at the main screen and gave a single order. "Begin Phase 1. Across the room, green lights appeared one after another. Humanity had not been surprised by the vote. In fact, they had been waiting for it all along. The council chamber remained full even after the human ambassador had left. No one seemed ready to go home. The strange smile on the human's face stayed in everyone's mind. Several young commanders laughed and called it fake courage. But the oldest leaders did not laugh. They had seen many wars across the galaxy, and they knew that a calm enemy was often the most dangerous one. Something about humanity's reaction felt completely wrong. In a private room behind the main hall, the leaders of the strongest civilizations gathered for an emergency meeting. The High Chancellor looked around the table with a serious face. "Did anyone else expect this?" he asked. No one answered. Finally, an old Varex general spoke. "Humans never leave without a reason. If they accepted exile so easily, then they have already prepared for life without us." His words made the room silent once again. Far beyond the borders of the Galactic Union, Earth's hidden fleets were already moving. Massive ships emerged from deep space where they had remained invisible for many years. Their engines stayed dark, making them almost impossible to detect. Secret factories hidden inside giant asteroids came to life. Thousands of engineers began working without delay. Every officer followed the same plan, one that had been kept secret from the entire galaxy for more than 20 years. Back on Earth, there was no panic in the streets. Families continued their daily lives as if nothing had happened. Schools stayed open, markets were busy, and children played in parks under the blue sky. The people had already been warned that this day might come. Long ago, humanity's leaders had decided never to depend completely on alien civilizations. While the galaxy believed Earth had become weak, humans had quietly built everything they needed to survive alone. At the edge of known space, a small alien patrol ship detected something unusual. The sensors found hundreds of powerful energy signals appearing one after another in a region that was supposed to be empty. The captain quickly sent a report to the Galactic Council. At first, the officers believed it was a technical error, but when more reports arrived from different sectors, fear slowly spread through the command center. Whatever humanity had been hiding was finally beginning to wake up. The reports reached the Galactic Council within hours. Every message carried the same warning. Unknown human fleets had appeared in places where no ships had been seen before. Long-range scanners counted hundreds of powerful warships, but they did not attack anyone. Instead, they quietly formed defensive lines around hidden gateways in deep space. The Council's military officers could not understand how Earth had built such a massive force without anyone noticing. For the first time since the vote, confidence began to disappear from the faces of the galaxy's leaders. The High Chancellor ordered every intelligence agency to search old records about humanity. Thousands of forgotten files were opened. Ancient reports described humans as patient builders who always prepared for the worst. They rarely showed their true strength until there was no other choice. One report caught everyone's attention. 25 years earlier, a respected alien scientist had warned that humanity was secretly building an independent civilization beyond known space. At the time, no one had believed him. Now his warning sounded frighteningly real. Deep inside a hidden command station, the human ambassador finally arrived. He entered a room filled with giant holographic maps of the galaxy. Several admirals greeted him with quiet smiles. "The Council made the choice we expected," one officer said. The ambassador nodded calmly. "Then we begin the next step." A single command was sent across thousands of secure communication channels. Within seconds, every hidden human colony acknowledged the order. Years of careful planning were finally becoming reality. Meanwhile, the alien patrol ship that had detected the strange energy signals moved closer to investigate. As it entered the dark region of space, the crew froze in disbelief. Before them stood an enormous human station, larger than anything the Galactic Union had ever built. Around it floated hundreds of advanced warships, each carrying technology that did not exist in the Council's records. The station was fully active, yet it had remained hidden for decades. The captain quickly transmitted the images before turning his ship around in fear. When the recordings reached the Council, the entire chamber fell silent once again. No one spoke for several long moments. The galaxy had believed it was punishing Earth. Instead, it seemed they had only pushed humanity toward a future they had secretly prepared for years. Then another urgent message appeared on the main screen. More hidden human stations had been discovered in different parts of the galaxy, and every new report revealed the same terrifying truth. Humanity had never depended on the Galactic Union at all. Inside the Galactic Council, fear slowly replaced pride. The leaders who had celebrated Earth's exile now demanded answers from their intelligence chiefs. How had humanity hidden so many stations, fleets, and factories for decades? The reports made no sense. Every new discovery showed another human stronghold beyond the Council's control. The galaxy suddenly realized that it had been watching only a small part of humanity's true power, while the rest remained hidden in deep space. The High Chancellor ordered a long-range communication with Earth. Hours later, the human ambassador appeared on the giant screen. His face was as calm as it had been during the vote. "What are you planning?" the Chancellor asked. The ambassador answered without raising his voice. "Nothing against the galaxy. You chose your future, and we chose ours. Humanity only prepared for the day when trust would disappear." His words were simple, but they carried a quiet confidence that unsettled everyone in the chamber. Across human space, massive civilian convoys began leaving old trade routes. Thousands of transport ships carried families, scientists, and engineers toward the hidden colonies. No one rushed. No one panicked. Every movement followed a plan that had been practiced for years. New cities powered by advanced technology welcomed the arriving ships. Farms, factories, and research centers were already running at full capacity. Humanity was not escaping the galaxy. It was simply moving into a future built with its own hands. Several alien governments secretly sent scouts to observe these hidden worlds. The scouts expected military bases filled with soldiers. Instead, they found peaceful cities, clean rivers, giant space yards, and schools where children studied science and exploration. Human ships protected every colony, but no weapons were aimed at alien space. The scouts returned with surprising reports. Humanity was not preparing for conquest. It was building a civilization that no longer needed the Galactic Union for anything. When the Council finished reading the reports, silence filled the chamber once again. The leaders finally understood the greatest mistake they had made. By banishing Earth, they had not weakened humanity. They had only removed the last reason for humans to remain connected to the old galaxy. Then an emergency officer rushed into the room with another message. 3 major alien worlds had already asked for trade with the newly independent human colonies, and many more requests were arriving every minute. The news spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Neutral worlds, small colonies, and even some former council members began signing trade agreements with humanity. Human technology, medicine, and clean energy quickly became the most valuable resources in known space. Every new partnership made Earth's independent network even stronger. The Galactic Council watched helplessly as its influence slowly faded. The leaders finally understood that power was earned through trust, not fear. A special meeting was called only a few weeks after Earth's exile. This time, the atmosphere inside the council chamber was completely different. The same leaders who had voted against humanity now spoke about peace and cooperation. The High Chancellor stood before the empty human seat and quietly admitted, "We made a mistake." For the first time in its long history, the Galactic Council voted to invite Earth back into the Union. Every message was sent with hope that humanity would forgive the past. The invitation reached Earth's new capital deep beyond the old borders of the galaxy. The human ambassador read the message carefully before looking out at the growing cities outside his window. Millions of people were building a future without fear or dependence. After a long silence, he smiled just as he had on the day of the vote. Then he sent a short reply. "Humanity holds no anger, but we will not return to a system that trusted power more than respect. We wish the galaxy peace." The ambassador's answer shocked the council, yet many alien leaders understood why it had happened. Humanity had not won through war or destruction. It had won through patience, planning, and unity. Earth had prepared for the worst while still hoping for the best. That lesson spread across the stars. Young civilizations began teaching their children about the day humanity smiled instead of begging. It became a story of courage that inspired generations across the galaxy. Years later, historians looked back on the famous vote that had changed everything. They no longer called it the day Earth was banished. They called it the day humanity became truly free. The Galactic Council survived, but it was forced to rebuild itself on fairness instead of control. As for humanity, its explorers continued traveling toward distant stars, carrying one simple belief wherever they went. A civilization that stands together can never truly be exiled, because its greatest strength has always been its people.